We're good. Gentlemen and dads, we're back for episode 7 of DadBUB, finding out about high-performance dads and how you guys can take out the hacks and the tricks and tips to become a high-performance dad yourself. And today we're joined by Ryan Tuckwood from SWISH Sales Training. Ryan, thanks for being on, dude.
Thanks for having me, guys. Excited to talk about dad stuff. This is a slightly variation on some of the podcasts I do on a regular basis.
Well,
I can imagine it'd be very different.
That's what we think's exciting about it is that, I've actually seen you speak at a seminar, and I know that you've trained businesses that I've been a part of throughout my career, namely one of them, Body Science. I saw that you did a training with the guys there. So I was actually with Body Science for 7 years, so I know Greg and Pico really well.
Oh, nice.
So really cool crew, and I was really happy to see you with those guys. And I saw you speak at an event that Ken was actually running. So that was actually, I guess, my first connection to you. But I guess with DadBUB, Ken and I, we're early stage dads, and I guess we have high performance sort of lifestyles. And of course, becoming a dad is going to change things up. And I know that you just had a quick chat off camera about integration, which we'll go into soon. But we were like, for dads who want to be high performing or in business or, you know, within their fitness or whatever that is, who are the high performing people that we can glean off and that we can get nuggets off, not so much in the business life, but integrating the two and the dad life. So, man, I'm really keen to get some insights from you. And Ken, do you want to jump in and I guess, shell out Ryan a little bit?
Yeah, well, look, one of the biggest things, and Brenda just touched on integration. I know you have a big philosophy around this, Ryan, in relation to work-life balance doesn't exist. And I think it's something that you got from one of your mentors, and you believe more in relation to work-life integration. Could you share a little bit about how you integrate work, life, business, family, buying beautiful houses, buying beautiful cars, hanging with amazing people, and obviously being friends with me? How does that kind of balance in your life?
There is no balance. I just try and spend as much time with you as possible. That's pretty much it. I don't know. It's quite an interesting one because I don't know if there is like this is the right way to do things. And we spoke just before then about as like integrating our children, our 2 boys that are both under 3. So I know you got younger kids, but I don't know if I'm highly experienced just yet. Still figuring it out. But we just integrate them into our life as quickly as possible. And I don't know if that's the right way. But from a work-life balance perspective, which we now know doesn't really exist. The way we've done it, and you're right, Ken, it was from a gentleman named Dr. Glenn Richards, who's one of our investors, came on board in 2018, and he spoke to me about something called counterbalance, and he basically shared with me almost a philosophy that it is impossible to get work-life balance, because to have balance is to have equal measures on both sides. And he says you can't do that in every stage of your life. Like you can't be at work and with your wife and your kids and give them 100% attention at any one given time. So he says what you need to find is counterbalance. So I'm either all at work or I'm all at home. I'm either all with my wife or I'm all with my kids, and I'm all with my team, and so on and so forth. So I now structure my diary in accordance with that. And when I schedule my year in advance, I actually schedule 12 to 18 months in advance in my calendar. It's in accordance with finding that I'm all over here or I'm all over here. So like for next 2022, for the next 12 months, or it goes into 2023, I've got my family holidays planned. I've got my family time in the diary from 5:30 to 8 o'clock every single night, religious about that. I've got my weekends scheduled, and then I build my work around that. If that makes sense. So, and that's just something that Glenn shared with me. He's got a portfolio of 20 plus businesses, and he's got children himself as well that are at school age. So if it's good enough for him, it was good enough for me.
Yeah, definitely. And can I ask about that? Because it sounds like you build your business, your work around your family time. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't think I used to. I think in the early days I didn't know how to do it, and I thought if I just came home and I was there and I opened my laptop and I was working, that's okay. So my wife's sitting on the sofa, the kids will be there, and I'm on my laptop, and you're not there. I wasn't present as much as I thought I would. I was there physically, I wasn't there mentally. So I had to draw a line in the sand with that, and what that encourages you to become is more resourceful, more efficient in the way that you do your job from 9 to 5, so that when I get home I can be 100% present as well. So now I do, but I'm 7 years into business now, and having spent many years on the road, flying around the country, training different companies, and realizing that, do you know what, as much as I tried to convince myself it wasn't affecting my relationship, or it wasn't affecting my relationship with my new boy at the time, Maverick, it was, like, it definitely was being away that much. So now I don't want to live like that.
What was the trigger? Like, when did you, because if you're, I mean, obviously being high performance in business, you're going to have that drive to succeed, to push through, like you said, bringing laptops home. I've definitely been there. So what was the trigger for you and your partner to say, this isn't how we want to live, and this is how we're going to change?
Yeah, it was quite a, I don't know, what's the right word? I don't know, penny drop's not the right word, but there was a penny drop moment. Alisha and I was having a conversation once about, I was talking about our clients, and we'd had a great week as a team with regards to our clients getting amazing results. And I was sitting there on a Friday night, and we were talking about different clients everywhere, and I was like, oh yeah, those guys are doing amazing, and they've transformed this, that, and the other. And I was like, I'm just knackered though, like I'm just tired. And she's like, yeah, that's how it always seems to be, is that your clients get the best of you. They get everything. Like you turn that camera on, you're there, you're ready to perform and show, and then she gets the rest of me ultimately. And I was like, holy shit. I hadn't really considered it in that regard. Like, so why can I turn it on when I walk into the office and perform for all these paying clients and give them the best of me, but when I get home I settle for the rest of me? And it was at that moment. I didn't go out and seek advice on that after, but it was quite soon afterwards that I just happened to be on a golf. Well, I wasn't on a golf course, so I didn't play golf at the time. I was having a beer with Glenn at a golf course in Brisbane, and I just referenced it, and he's like, "That's because you're trying to get work-life balance. It doesn't exist." He said, and that's when he said about counterbalance. So it was actually Alisha. She brought it up, which is a good thing to do, really, because we could have just carried on with oblivious, you know.
Yeah.
Can I talk to Alisha for a second?
Can I just pick out one thing, Ken, and I'll get you to move on. So you said like your family time is 5:30 till 8 p.m. What happens after 8 p.m? Do you have the sort of life where laptop comes back out and you get more work done? So that's when the kids. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that was the important part, Brendo, is that the communication was the problem, right? It wasn't that I was working, it's that there were no parameters. It wasn't like, she didn't know when she got me, and the family didn't know when they got me. So I know, like, the kids love coming to the office, right? So we changed the way that I travel to work. She now, she runs her own hair and beauty salon as well. So she'll go and grab the kids after kindy, come into daddy's office, 5:30 we will leave here. And then 5:30 till probably about 6:30, I have the kids in the playroom. She'll then make dinner. We'll have dinner together as a family. We'll go and do baths and showers, and then Alisha and I will get a little bit of time together before I then jump back on the computer about 8 to 8:30. Right? So we created a routine for us, for our lifestyle, that suited the ambition that we have. Right? So she doesn't want to suppress my ambition, but she also has a right to have a husband that's present as well. That really helped, is me going, okay, well, I can't just turn off at 5:30 and get this business or my brand or whatever to where I want it to go. That's just impossible. There is genuine, and everyone says there's not enough hours in the day. There actually isn't, right? I can't do it from 7:15, 7:30 till 5:30. So the agreement was, okay, well, 5:30 till 8 o'clock, then that's peak family time when the kids are home. I don't want to miss any of that time whilst they're growing up, of course. But I will need to jump back on the computer at 8:30 till around about, it's supposed to be 10:30, but sometimes it goes till midnight depending on where we're at. But that's okay now, because we spoke about it. The parameters were laid, and we're all, our expectations are managed both ways.
Cool. That's awesome.
So I got a couple of questions there, Ryan, because you said, because Alicia's a high performing woman, right? She can't have a family and run a business at the same time and not be a high performing woman. So how do you guys blend, when you look at most relationships, you have one person that wants to be the breadwinner. They go out and they get hungry, and then the other person kind of stays at home and takes care of the household, takes care of the family. It doesn't look like you have that type of relationship. It looks like you're both go-getters. How do you manage that dynamic?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting because I think a lot of people know my journey, and when I first met Alisha, I had nothing, right? I was sleeping on a bathroom floor, like no money, no business, no real drive, if anything. And at the time, she was also an employee of a hair salon, but she was a high performing employee, if that makes sense. So I actually met her dad, like obviously years and years ago, and he was a successful businessman, and it was the first time I had a conversation with him that I'm like, oh, I'm running a business sounds cool. Like I'd never been around that environment before, where she was brought up in that. She used to go to meetings with him as a kid. He was the first guy in New Zealand to bring the FPOS machine in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
So very, very successful businessman, and was used to going out on whining and dining clients. And I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. So that was my first little taster of it. And I think as I started talking about it more, she then realized that, well, hold on, I kind of wasn't around the right people, and it suppressed her ambition a little bit, which is why your network's so important. So the more then I started to talk about that, that coincided with me quitting in sales, as many people know, and then deciding to go on a little bit of a journey of sales is a skill and can be learned. And as I started to become more competent, I guess, in sales, she then started to find her drive, and we kind of just grew together. But as I'm kind of growing, she was already earning a really good wage. Like the salon she worked at, she used to bring in like 80% of the clients and the revenue. So wow. She supported me. She paid for everything. She was paying for rent. She was paying for food. She was paying for holidays. I had nothing. Like it was embarrassing. So that kind of ebbs and flows, and I think we both accept that in different stages of our life that's going to happen. But she worked all the way till like a week before we had both kids. She was working within 4 weeks of having both kids in her own salon. So she's always been like that. And I think one thing that I don't want to do as a partner is because I know this is just right for us. I don't want to say we're okay financially, you don't have to work. Because that's now not even a conversation in our house. It's like she wants to work. Like if she was just to be a stay-at-home mum, it would actually take away her personality. She's a social butterfly. She loves interacting with clients. And I've seen it at times when, even through COVID, where there's been little lockdowns, like it kind of sends her spiraling into a shell and that. And so we both know when and how to pick each other up, and it does happen frequently in both facets, you know.
Can I just pull something out of that as well? So early stage with the kids, she went back to work within 4 weeks. It's obviously her business, but what did you do? So Maverick would have been your first kid. So how did she integrate Maverick back into work life?
He was next to her. So yeah. So as Ken said earlier on, people love babies, right? In general, and so because we integrated the kids into our life from day dot, that meant that they would come to my office. I remember what was I doing? I remember coming in on a weekend and she had 4 clients all on one Saturday, but I also had clients that I needed to get back to. So I came into the office, I brought him into the office with me, and he was sitting next to me, so I was making sales calls and I'm rocking him away, and she would do that in the salon as well. So and we did the same with Foxx, second kid. It was just about literally bring them into your life. And as Ken might find out very soon, that doesn't last forever, because as soon as they can crawl and they can climb and they want you, that they don't become that little stagnant baby that just sits there looking cute. They then start making lots of noise, which is not easy in a salon. So at about, I think it was maybe the 6-month mark, we then started to put them into kindy.
Okay, cool.
It's just started crawling, at least dragging himself along the
army
commando crawl. Yeah, and it is he's a nightmare to put nappies back on, put his pants on, because he's rolling everywhere. It's amazing to see the progression of development, because you don't see that anywhere. No one else learns and develops that fast, but this 6-month-old child has just picked up everything so quickly. And I'm looking at it, it's like, man, this is going to be a handful. See, babe, going to work, bye-bye. But obviously, Kristen is super driven as well, and she's obviously working away and trying to balance her business and take care of Nate. So we're looking at, options there as well.
And it's hard, right? Because they're physically what they've been through as well over the last months. And like, we can't understand that. Realistically, we can't. As much as we want to, and we often get told that we don't understand it as well. We don't understand what they've been through. That's a can of worms. But it's true. And if they're doing a physical job as well, like Alisha is on her feet all day, then I do believe that I have a responsibility to then come home and at least take the kids off her for a while before kindy. I mean, sometimes kindy can actually get them more riled up in the day and they come home even more excited. So it's ever changing, which is kind of what's exciting, but also quite scary.
How did you both go with parents, from the parents' side of it then? So, because you're saying kindy, we would say daycare over here, just in case there's a communication breakdown with that as well for anyone listening. So when you're no longer seeing the kids all day, and this is something, can I say this, because this is the discussion that we're having at the moment, you're obviously missing out on a lot of that growth. So how do you guys, how did both of you, because obviously it's a team discussion, say, this is what we want to do, we're still going to get our family time? Like, how did you go through that? I think you understand like where I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I respect that it is a conversation that needs to be had, and there's no one size fits all for any parents. Like, you do what's right for you. For us, it was something we discussed way before the babies were born. Like, we knew which way we were going to go. We both knew that we were ambitious business owners, and we knew that there was no way that we were going to be able to do what we wanted to do whilst being full-time parents, or at least, as I said, if Alisha was a full-time mum, it would have taken away from her personality. So we made the decision that at 6 months that they were going to go once a week, and then we would gradually increase that. What I think with Maverick, within like 2 weeks of him going, we saw the biggest changes in him. Like from being a social kid, being more interactive, more independent, and they were doing more stuff than we could ever do with them in the day. Trying to work them around our life is one thing, but then it just felt like we were taking away opportunity for them. Like we weren't going to sit there and build sand pits and do crafts, and that's just not. We're not wired like that. That's just not what we do. Like we like a nice house, and we have a playroom where there's hundreds and hundreds of toys, but we keep that away, right? And so we just looked at. We found a great kindy. It's called Little Scholars, which is classed as an entrepreneurial kindy or preschool.
Oh, wicked.
Which is cool. So they learn
How's
Japanese.
that for knowing your target market, by the way?
Yeah, I know.
I'm literally Googling it right now. Do we have one in WA?
It is honestly, they're exceptional. Like Maverick was sitting there the other day counting away. Ken, I don't know if this is. Oh no, I don't think it's your background. Sorry, but he was counting to 10 in Japanese. That's not your heritage, is it?
No, unfortunately not. I know my eyes might deceive, but no, it's Filipino is my background.
Filipino, just looking like a bit of mild racism on a podcast.
Yeah.
Don't worry, man. I got a little Malaysian baby.
There we go. Multicultural.
Yeah.
And my wife's Fijian Indian, so this is a great little mix.
This is great, yeah.
So yeah, he's counting to 10 in Japanese, and I'm like, I didn't understand it, but I recognized the rhythm of 1, 2, 3, and I was like, are you doing Japanese? And he gave it one of these, and he was like, arigato, and I was like, I think he's counting Japanese, right? So I filmed him, and my old boss, my really good friends are Japanese, so I sent her the video, and she was like, yeah, that was like perfect. And I'm like, he can't even do it in English.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So yeah, we found a school that really fitted our mold of what we want in a human being, let alone a child. And also I know a lot of kindies do this. They send us like a magnitude of photos every day, so we get to see what they're doing, and it's been really good for us.
That's really cool. Amazing. So is that like on an app? Like you'll have an app and they'll send you photos, so you have updates of what they're doing, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's a Little Scholars app.
Oh, wicked. There you go. Little Scholars.
Yeah, and they actually do the same thing for when they're in pre-primary or pre-primary, whatever that is, pre-kindy.
Yeah, I don't really understand it all either.
And they do because obviously there is these been issues with like texting and things like that, so they have all these really well encrypted apps these days, which is pretty cool. Now, Ryan, I want to kind of circle back to something for a second now, because you've sent your kids to kindy, and I know, when I've had that discussion with Kristen, especially early on, we had this mentality of, I can provide enough so that she doesn't have to work. Yet Kristen's ambitious, so she wants to work and she wants to bring everything in herself, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then, but she doesn't want to put Nate into daycare because her mindset is like, I want to be able to, I want my baby to be my baby. And look, I'm someone who loves to jump in a rabbit hole and do buckets of research whenever I get the opportunity to. And there's actually a lot of research to support daycare, or at least social interactions of other people taking care of your child. And it goes back to that whole adage, right? It takes a village. But the problem with nowadays, we don't have a village around us. Even if we have family is still, grandparents are still sometimes working. Aunties are working, uncles are working. And so we don't actually have that village, that network, that support around us. And if you can't get that from your family village, you need to get it from elsewhere. Because otherwise you essentially build a child to be, I don't want to say a social pariah because they haven't had social interactions, but we as parents don't have the time because we're busy. Most of us are busy to allow our children to engage and interact as they're supposed to at a young age, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's it is worth researching, and it's hard, right? Because me and my siblings, I've got an older sister, younger brother. We were brought up by the same parents in the same house with the same parameters, the same lack of money and affluence. Like we were definitely not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but we've all grown up totally different, right? So where do you draw the line? Like there is no one size fits all. But for us, like if I look at who is most prominent in our life right now with regards to family, it would be the kindy teachers that now look after Mav and Foxx. They come to our house. We just had Christmas party on Thursday. I was out at the weekend before. Alisha was doing the end of a fit stop challenge. Went to that party, and the kindy teachers are now family. Like Alisha's from New Zealand, I'm from the UK, and we don't have any family here. Like there's no one. So we needed to create that. And what safer environment than people that these teachers and bearing in mind a lot of them that they're in their early 20s. Some of them don't even have kids. But they're specially trained to deal with children. So Alicia's often said, like, if Mouse fell over, cut his head open, she's like, I wish that happened at kindy because they would know what to do with him more than we can because they're trained to deal with it. So yeah, we've got that real freedom and flexibility now. We had a kindy teacher around on Saturday night when the kids went to bed just to spend time with us. They're actually become our good friends now. So,
and Brendan, you can probably relate with this, hey?
Yeah. So I'm general manager of a company. Just to give you a bit of insight, Ryan. So I guess in here in Western Australia, I built my name from a media hub. It was Perth Fit Fan, which was the largest city-based media hub in Australia. From there, started the dating app and sold that just before I had a baby. So I didn't need to do anything. And could enjoy the early stages, and then just said, you know what, I want to go get back into work. There's nothing that tickles my pickle, which lent into me being the GM of a group. So we got different gyms, equipment companies, events, and childcare centres is actually part of the business. So I get to oversee mainly definitely from a back end side of things with the business, but I do get to see it. And I think it's just that the discussion of what does the perfect life look like for you and your family. And that's the biggest thing. So for you guys, it seems like you've done something really functional and that you're still able to counterbalance your work life, your family life to achieve your goals and still have that great family time and integrate the kids in. Yeah. It's funny because the Swans, who have interviewed Brian Swan, and Rhonda, his partner, they were almost the opposite, where they just travelled, but they integrated their daughter in, but they travelled and they do everything together. I'm from Perth, but all my family's from over east, and my wife's family's from Brisbane. So we've also sort of gone through that process of, you know, there's only two of us, and we didn't really have that connection. One thing I will say, though, is the thing that surprised me most was the community around us. So we live in a pretty good area, like a beach area, and we're definitely a younger couple within the area. So the amount of families that got behind us, one of them to a degree, who even got her nanny license, so she can start taking care of the young family's kids. that's a part of the journey. But we're still early days and definitely having those conversations. My wife also ambitious. We met because we were each other's competitors in sales. We were both sales reps, and we would actually direct competition. And when we got together, she was a great rep. She was actually much better than me. When we got together, our bosses, including Body Sites, thought it was one of my social media trolls. And 6 years later, and now a little Malaysian baby, it definitely was not. But that sort of brings me into...
That's just on something in there, Brendo, because I think you said like about or you kind of alluded to like the traveling and like having a child just as part of the family. I think, and I'm only speaking from a couple of people that have questioned us about this, do you feel disconnected from the kids because they're at kindy? And I don't feel disconnected at all. I feel more present because I have a clear parameter of, okay, now I'm at work, I can give everything to my work, so I feel more connected to my team. And then when I come home, I'm totally 100% there for the kids. Same on the weekend. So I don't feel that putting them into kindy or anything has actually been detrimental to our relationships. And there was one other thing that I think you guys will appreciate as business people and entrepreneurs. Alisha is now the hairdresser at the kindy, so she does all the kids. So that was not a plan. That wasn't a business move like long before. How to get into the kindy, we didn't think about that. But now, she goes in once a month and does all the kids' hair as well.
It's the long play, bro. It's always the long game.
The long play. These kids are going to grow up. That's clients for life.
Think about the parents. There's a big market there.
Oh, that's actually great. One thing I will say though, so I've been reading a book, The Superior Man. I've read, obviously, as we do, you read a lot of business books, sales books, marketing books. But I wanted to read one which was definitely more of like a men's work sort of book. It's not something that I'd really ventured into. And one of the things that it speaks about a lot is like you've got to have your purpose, like and nothing can sort of get in the way in that purpose. So when you're telling me and just kind of hashing out some of the things that I've taken away, is you and your wife really have your purposes and in life, and that's the stuff that really drives you. And from especially your perspective, you've got to have that, or you lose a big part of yourself. And if you lose that part of yourself, then that only detracts away from your family. So I really like how you put that together. One thing that's really important to me is, and because I've grown up in the industry since when I had hair and I was definitely not of legal age. So fitness and incorporating health and fitness has been massive in my life. Just after having Evie, our little baby, and building a 2,500 meter gym, I didn't train for 4 months. Probably the first time that I can remember in my life not doing that, and got in bad shape. So in the past month, I just said, okay, enough's enough. You're mentally not optimal for at home because you know that you're not living your best life, and you're definitely physically not good. And being 36, I don't want to look back 5 years from now and say, oh, okay, cool, I'm not at my peak. Or not living my peak as for what I can. So being busy, you said starting about 7:30, kids between 5:30 till 8, and then working from 8:30 till 10:30. How do we incorporate health and fitness in your life?
Totally neglected.
Okay.
So I used to play football for 8 years over here. I love playing football. Tuesdays, Thursdays, training. Saturdays, the game day with the boys. Like just that was. I mean, I've been playing football since I was like soccer, since I was like 4 or 5 years old, and my knee started to play up towards the end of my career. I got like 36 years old, and that's when I started to get the aches and pains and couldn't walk for days after a game, and then I go back training and I just get through training, can walk the next day, and it was just a vicious cycle. So when we fell pregnant, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be a dad that can't play football with their kids. Like I didn't want to get to that stage. So I gave up football, and then I started park running. I did the 5K, and you guys have park run in WA?
Yeah, we do,
yeah. So I did the 5Ks. I love that because it meant that, like, I'm not an aggressive person. I hate confrontation. I hate conflict. But I'm highly competitive. And that park run allowed me to really compete against like 300 people every Saturday morning for free, and just try and beat people at the last 100 meters. And I loved it. And I did that for about a year, and I really got into it. And then as soon as Mav came along, same as you, Brendo, that kind of fell to the wayside. And it wasn't really till Mav's just turned 3, so it wasn't really until this year that I actually got I got a PT through body science, and started to get back into the rhythm. He then went away and did a few things, so I've kind of lost rhythm again with that. And ironically, I just connected with a PT yesterday who is prepared to do what my other PT would do and come to my house each morning. So again, I need it to, and maybe it sounds needy, it sounds wanty, but they need to fit around my routine. So I want them to come to me at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'll start my day with it, because I do feel better when I train. I'm never going to be the biggest bloke in the world. But it's a bit deceiving for me, because I'm 40 next year and I've never been able to put weight on. And the way Andy, I don't know if you know Andy Gin.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you're just skinny fat. That's what he killed me. You're skinny fat. He says, yeah, on the outside you're skinny, but on the inside you could be a real mess, right? So,
years skinny fat. That's gone back to when I was in the industry.
Well, I remember when I was engineer back in the UK, and I used to work with these older boys. I won't call them old, but they were probably my age now when I worked with them. And they always used to say to me, "Yeah, wait till you get to 30, mate. Wait till you get to 30." I remember this guy called Danny, big burly rugby player. He said, "You one day you'll walk past the mirror in the morning and you'll be like, what's that? Where did that little pud come from?" And I'm 40 next year, and I've got nothing, right? So screw them, but it doesn't mean I'm healthy. And I'm very, very aware of that. Like, I felt exceptional when I was training earlier on in the year, and park running. That I'm sure many people can relate. Like, on a football pitch, I'm a different bloke. My missus, when she first came to watch me play football, the first thing she said when I came off was like, "What was that? Like, who was that? That was not you." And it meant I could get my aggression out in a legal fashion.
Yes.
And I think we still need that. Otherwise, you do end up taking it out on staff members, on your kids, on your wife, and I don't want to do that. So that's my why and my reason for wanting to get back into it again with the new PT that reached out yesterday. So good time.
That's cool. Good timing.
I saw, Ryan, that earlier in the year you almost incorporated it into your team bonding event. That was pretty cool. So talk to us a little bit about that. Is that a kind of a way to get you back into fitness and health, and also your team? Like, clearly you're concerned about it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've also studied the power of accountability in great detail, and I know that if you have a spotter in a gym, or if you've got a coach in some way, shape, or form, and like I've got accountability partners, one of them named Dan, that on a Monday morning, we message each other what our goals are. On a Friday afternoon, we just have a quick catch up on how we went. That's it, right? It's not a paid partnership. It's just a friend that we hold each other accountable to our goals. And since I started doing that, I've succeeded in way more than I had previously. So I just figured then obviously it's going to happen exactly the same in a fitness format. So if I'm ever doing something, if I train, if I read a book, if I do a course, and I get results from it, I'm telling my team, right? I want them all to become the best version of themselves. So I had a podcast with Greg Young, Body Science.
Yep.
I mentioned it to him, and before I knew it, I was walking out of his warehouse with boxes and boxes of gifts from him for the team, all the greens, the vitamins. It was in the middle of the COVID. So, well, we're still in the middle of COVID, but I was in the middle of all of that crazy stuff. So I'm like, right, team, let's minimize our chances of getting sick. You're going to take all of this, and Body Science are going to do some boot camps for us as well. So I've done it a fair bit over the years with different martial arts for the team as well. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I think team building, fitness, mental growth, skill set growth, it all goes hand in hand.
No, that's
cool.
cool.
That's amazing.
Super cool.
So Ryan, I have to ask, right? Because if you go back, if you're going to have another child, I don't know if that's on the cards for you and Alisha.
Yeah, we're
but
going
if
to
you
go
are,
one more, I think.
Yeah, awesome. So, are you going to try and with this one coming through, then when this one happens, are you going to try to keep fitness and health at the forefront of your mind?
Yeah. Okay. Awesome question. So, as I've scheduled my diary out, one thing that I realized, as much as I had counterbalance what I didn't have was like macro balance, right? So I think you've both seen some of our training when we do goal setting, we do personal, business, financial, health, and family, right? What I realized in my life was that some stages of my life I'm way more focused on business than I am finance, or sometimes I'm way more focused on family than I am health. So I ended up creating this infinity loop of macro balance, if you will, and in the middle was personal, and then there's finance, health, business, and family. Is that right? So they're the 5. So when I created my diary for the year ahead, I intentionally put each of those aspects into every single one of my weeks. So I didn't leave it by chance. So now Tuesdays and Thursdays for the next 12 months in my diary at 5 a.m. are PT sessions. Saturday is golf, right? 5 a.m. So it's already in there. I just didn't have a PT. So instead of waiting for a PT and figuring out when am I going to do it, I find out when can I do it, and I now find a PT that will work around me. And the same with golf. Saturday morning before Alicia's clients arrive, if I go at 5, just do 9 holes, and I've only just started playing, so it could take way longer than this. I could probably be home by like 6:30, 7 o'clock, something like that.
PM, right? Because you just started, yeah. Yeah, look, I'm terrible at golf, so maybe you can give me some pointers next time I'm over.
Mate, you don't want that. I've literally played 1 round of 9 holes. I think I did okay, but
you shouldn't have said that, bro. You should have said that. In my mind, I'm thinking Ryan Tuckwood, like you know, holding one, like killing it on this golf course.
Yeah,
you should have left the mystique, bro.
No, somebody always calls you on it and invites you to a business golf day, and then you're like, oh yeah, no, my back's playing up a little bit today, so I'll take the photos.
Oh,
yeah, and they're like, hey, look, we'll play for $1 a hole. We'll just double it each hole. And it's
yeah,
like,
I don't. Yeah, I only just found out what Ambrose meant the other day, so that sounds like a good game to me.
Yeah. I don't mind. I'm really good at the driving range because all I'm doing is hitting it and not seeing where it goes. It's like, that's my speciality, right? The driving range.
I just get like, I mean, we know about the 4 levels of learning. Right now, I'm at that conscious incompetent stage. Right, I know what I'm not good at, and that's golf. So it's a good foundation. But I'm having lessons like anything. If I'm going to do something, I want to do it properly. So I've got a coach. Like we need coaches in our life, and I could see in one. I don't know if you've had any lessons, you guys, but they filmed it, and when I first arrived there, bearing in mind, genuinely never played golf before in my life, right? I got gifted a set by my mate that wanted to coax me into playing with him, so he gave me a full set of clubs. He booked my first lesson. The guy had a GoPro, recorded it from behind, and as I walked up, I went, "Oh, nice to meet you." He went, "Pick up a club." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Just grab a club." He goes, "Hit that ball." First thing he said to me, and I'm like, "I've never played." He goes, "I don't care." Right, I was like, oh shit. Right, so I did this. I hit this ball. Somehow I trickled it like 20 yards, and then within 45 minutes, he then split shot both my shots on camera, and he showed me my first shot and my last shot. My first shot was like not even a quarter swing, and my last shot full swing, about 110 yards, and I was like, "You're good." That was that was amazing. So being thrown in the deep end is not what makes us feel comfortable, but it gave me the ability to see my greatest growth, which is now giving me the desire to keep going. Sink or swim
is a great kind of process sometimes.
Yeah.
I always say to people, because Ryan, as you know, sometimes I coach sales as well. Yeah. And one of the things that people come to is like, cool, like give me all the best tips and tricks to sell. It's like sometimes you just need to go learn how to sell. You just need to try it. Just try it. Just get on the phone and try it. It's like a kid learns how to walk by getting up, trying, failing, getting back up, and trying again. Sometimes you just need to keep trying.
Well, if you get in a situation, or if you don't get in a situation because you've been taught exceptionally well, which I mean, it's impossible to give everybody everything straight away. I always say, like I've got a team member here right now. She's unbelievable, right? 20 years corporate sales, ran her own business, but whenever anybody joins here, they always go, holy shit, there's a lot more to sales than I actually thought. So she's like 8 weeks in, and she's like, I don't know why I don't get this aspect of it. And I was like, really? Like, because what you're basically saying is you think you can understand all of that in 8 weeks that took me 11 years. So you've just massively insulted my intelligence by saying that. And that's the reality. Like, I'm 11 years in and I still don't know every aspect. So I think if you need to go through those fails to understand the emotion, so that you then have the desire to keep learning and don't become complacent, because training isn't something that we did, it's something that we do. And that has to become, again, part of our rhythm, part of our routine. So yeah, failing.
I love that saying. Yeah, I love that saying. Training isn't something that we did. Training is something that we do, and we've really adopted everything that you teach there at Swish. And for any of our listeners who doesn't know, so Ryan runs a sales company called Swish, which stands for Selling with Integrity, Selling Honestly. Where you also should boys have done a heck of a lot of it. It's been amazing, and so that's something that I love to implement into my life, which is training isn't something that we did, it's something that we do. So each and every day, my team does their own sales training and their own internal personal training, and I also do that at work, at home, and my wife has now incorporated it in her life, and now I try to incorporate it into anyone who wants to listen's life, because training is one of the only things that we can actually do for ourselves that benefits us. We always, spend time with our partners, or try to put time with our partners. And yes, it's for us, but it's also for our partner. Yeah. And training is something that we can just purely do for us.
Well, that's also, you could take that into a relationship sense, couldn't you? You could say that working on your relationship isn't something that you did, it's something that you do. Like we spend a lot of time in the early stages like, I guarantee you, Alisha got the best of me in the first 6 months of our relationship. Like, I drop everything, right? I'm whining, I'm dining, I'm dressing nice and all that. And before you know it, you're sitting on the toilet, walking in on each other. It's like, when did that happen? Like, where was that crossover? And just for the record, we still don't do that. Not years in, so. But you get the message, right? Like, it is, when did we stop our own standards in our own relationships of what we will accept from each other or deliver to the other person? Because if it was a client, and this does sometimes happen with companies as well. I got clients that have been with us for 4, 5, 6 years. I still have to maintain a standard, because they didn't come in because of where I am today. They came in because of what I gave them at the start, and that is only what will keep them there. And the same thing happens in our relationships.
Yeah,
I love that.
Awesome, man. I think that's cool. Ryan Tuckwood, thank you so much, man. Really, really good insights. I've just got all my notes here as well. So it's been really good to glean off you over the past 45 minutes, dude. Before we part, any last words, any advice, way to reach out for you, for the dads that are listening?
Firstly, the easiest part is to say where you can find me. If you want to reach out to me, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. I'm pretty open across all the socials. Any advice? Don't think that you need to know everything. Like, you don't need to have all the answers. People are going to throw advice at you left, right, and center. But my advice is you don't need to know it all. We didn't read one parenting book. I'm not saying that's right. We didn't watch one parenting video. I'm not saying that's right. But I'm present. I'm happy. I believe I've got some happy kids. Sometimes they're really not happy and they make shitloads of noise, and there's always a constant whine in the background. But that's all right. That's okay. That's normal. So
whine, or
there's definitely a constant whine. There's two whines in the background in all stages, and Alisha is in the foreground. She doesn't mind a Swish whine, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's so good.
When you become a member of Swish, you actually get a bottle of Swish wine. So just stay tuned for that if you're going to come on board.
That's awesome. No, thank you so much, Ryan. Really appreciate it, man.
Cheers, gents. Appreciate your time. Awesome. Hey, stay safe over there, and have a good Christmas.
Beautiful. Thanks, bro. I'll see you soon.
Take care.